Welcome to Writing in the Shadows, where we take your novel out of the shadows and into the light. I'm Alexis Argemma, but you can call me Lex. I'm a two-time Emmy Award-winning filmmaker and author. I made this free online course, Writing in the Shadows, because I spent years stumbling around in the dark trying to figure out how to write a great book. And then I spent even longer getting an agent to say yes, to offer me representation. But my time spent writing in the shadows paid off, and I got an offer from my ideal agent. And we're going to pitch my debut, The Shadowcaster, to editors at publishing houses next year. So, wherever you are in the stages of your writing journey, if you're trying to write a great book and publish traditionally, welcome to Lesson 3. Craft an outstanding query. In Lesson 3, we'll cover how to write a query letter, write a synopsis, both long and short, write an author bio, include similar or comp titles, and some final words of encouragement. If you don't know what a query letter is, that means you need to go back to Lesson 2, Demystify the Agent, to get more context on the whole process of submission, and Lesson 1, which will teach you how to write a great book. You can sign up for the full 3-lesson course of Writing in the Shadows for free at lexwritesinshadow.com. A query letter is your sales pitch. It's the first impression that convinces an agent to request your full manuscript. And it has to prove 2 things fast. Number 1, your book fits in the market. And number 2, that you're a professional, promotable author. A query letter is usually a 1-page, single-spaced email that you're going to send to agents. It's the first thing that they're going to see. And it's going to start with Dear Agent's name and then take it from there. The most useful free resource I found online for writing queries is called Query Shark. It's a blog that was created by the late literary agent Janet Reed. The blog is still up and has over 300 examples of query critiques directly from her. I got many manuscript requests just from studying off of Query Shark. And I also picked up some other tricks along the way. So let me share with you my formula for writing the perfect query letter. Okay, so your formula will have around 6 paragraphs, but really these paragraphs are more like 1 or 2 lines or 3 max. And the formula goes: Dear Agent, paragraph number 1, introduce yourself and sell it. Here you can also include some personalization if you know this agent personally or if you've gotten a referral for them. Then paragraph number 2, you'll say, my novel, name of book, word count is an insert genre/subgenre about a character who conflict. Insert your written elevator pitch from lesson 1 here. Then tie in similar titles and or the audience that exists for your book. Paragraph 3. Insert your setup and protagonist's I wish from lesson number 1. Paragraph number 4. Insert your midpoint or twist and any other hooks. Paragraph number 5. Emphasize why you wrote this book. Paragraph number 6, state what you will do to sell your book. Then you write thank you for your time and consideration, your name, address, email, and phone number. Remember, like I said, your query needs to do 2 things. It needs to prove that your book and you are marketable. If you would like the slides from this lecture, you can get them at lexwritesinshadow.com, where you can also take the full course for free by signing up. What do I mean by make your book and yourself marketable? Well, your book and your personality need to be ones that an agent thinks that they can sell to a publisher. And publishers want books and authors that they can market to specific audiences. For paragraph number 1, like I said, you're going to want to introduce yourself and sell it. Here is my general opening statement to a query, without any personalization. So this is my paragraph number 1. Dear Agent, I'm a young novelist and filmmaker, a 2-time Emmy Award-winning producer, and a top 10 finalist in the 2021 CineQuest screenwriting competition, seeking representation for my debut book. A graduate of Brown University with a double major in theater arts and film production, I developed this story after researching famous and forgotten folklore. So, as you can see, I really try to pack in as much as I can. And in that single sentence, I list my biggest awards, a writing accolade, where I went to school, and how I came up for the idea of my book. Don't worry if you don't have any awards, but if you want to try and get some, you should. You should be submitting your work to contests. It's a great thing to do because, like I said in lesson 1, you need to fail with your writing over and over and over again. And if you do win an award, then you can include it in your query letter. It will legitimize you as a writer to an agent. In lesson 2 of this course, I explained that agents don't care about personalizations in your query if they don't already know you. However, if you do know this agent or if you're a referral, you need to put that personalization into your query in this paragraph 1. All right, paragraph number 2. For starters, you're going to have to give your book's title. Then, next to the title, you're going to put the complete word count in parentheses. So, you need to look up what the average word count is for your genre of book. The first draft that I wrote of my debut novel was this bloated 130,000 word monstrosity, only for me to find out that my genre, YA, has a standard of around 80,000 words on the high end. So not many books are 100,000 words or more, usually only sci-fi and fantasy for adults. So for me, writing an extra 50,000 words for no reason took up a lot of my time. So save yourself the time and write books aiming for word counts that match your genre. An agent reading your query letter expects to see right away that your word count and book genre are in alignment with the agent's expectations and also industry standards. Then, as mentioned, after you list your word count, you need to state your book's genre. And when you think of genre, just think of fantasy, romance, action, adventure, science fiction, literary, contemporary, thriller, young adult, middle grade, horror, etc. If your book is YA, young adult, or middle grade, you should just state that. Don't say YA fantasy, YA action adventure. Just say YA or middle grade because those are genres of themselves, at least in the industry. All right, let's put it all together using everything we've learned. Paragraph number 2. My novel, name of book, word count is a insert genre or subgenre about a character who conflict. This is where you put your elevator pitch from lesson 1. And then you'll use some similar titles. Coming up with similar titles was always my least favorite part of submissions because I really wanted to sound smart and cool when I listed different works. But I actually think that this is a fun way that you can go about it. Basically, you're going to need to read books in your genre that have had success in the last 5 years. In order to find these books to read, you'll search within your genre. But then when you read them, you have to search beyond just the genre and go for similar story types. Understanding the types of stories that exist and what makes them marketable is very important in all of this. You know, in lesson 1 of this course, I recommended that you read the book on writing, Save the Cat. I suggested in lesson 1 because it's good for story structure, but I'm also recommending it again here in lesson 3 because it has a lot to say about story types, claiming that there are 10 different types. The 10 types of stories that exist, according to Save the Cat, are Monster in the House, Golden Fleece, Out of the Bottle, Dude with a Problem, Rites of Passage, Buddy Love, Why Done It, The Fool Triumphant, Institutionalized, and Superhero. Monster in the House would be exactly what it sounds like, a monster in the house or a confined space. An example would be The Shining by Stephen King, or for a film, the Babadook movie, which was so scary and good. The Golden Fleece is an epic quest or journey, both physically and mentally, like Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Gotta shout out the best Golden Fleece of all time. Out of the Bottle means a wish or a spell that creates chaos and teaches a lesson, like Howl's Moving Castle by Diane Wynne Jones, and the Miyazaki film is so beautiful too. Dude with a Problem is an extraordinary person who faces an extraordinary problem. Life of Pi by Jan Martel is a great example of this, and an incredible book. Rites of Passage is a personal struggle of somebody who's growing up or going through a transition. Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger is a classic that I remember reading as the coming-of-age story. Buddy love is a story of love between friends or a romantic love, like Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston, or familial love, like And We're Off by Dana Schwartz, which is a really sweet mother-daughter story. Whodunits are a mystery, and whodunits would fall into this category, like Clue, but whodunits take themselves a little more seriously. An example of a whodunit could be Girl with the Dragon Tattoo by Stieg Larsson. The fool triumphant is an underdog, or fool, who overcomes something big. Now, I know this isn't a book, but the Lego Movie is a very well executed example of this, and you should watch it and study it. Institutionalized is when a main character or a group of characters go through a major identity conflict. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey is the best example that I can think of for this. The characters are literally institutionalized. And finally, superhero, where you have a powerful individual who has to own up to the burden of their power. There are so many examples of this, but I like to think of Children in Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi as a recent example. You can also combine story types into the same story, which I highly recommend you do. Just be sure to have one main genre or type of story and the others as supporting. A couple examples of multi-genre books would be Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson, one of my favorite books. It depicts a dystopic society where corporations have replaced government functions, and a vast virtual reality world called the metaverse provides an escape from physical reality. Whoa, that sounds familiar. Anyway, the main character's name is cheekily Hero Protagonist, and he's a pizza delivery hacker. Him along with YT, a teenage skateboard courier, investigate a dangerous virus that affects people both in the metaverse and in the real world. This can be interpreted as a fool triumphant, but it also contains elements of superhero and Golden Fleece. Harry Potter by You Know Who is a superhero novel that contains dude with a problem, buddy love, and institutionalized. The Da Vinci Code by Dan Brown is a compelling whodunit, but it also contains dude with a problem and Golden Fleece. So, for example, my book, The Shadowcaster, is a superhero novel that contains rites of passage, Golden Fleece, dude with a problem, buddy love, whodunit, and monster in the house. It's got a lot going on, so you should be sure to read it once it finally comes out. But when I was looking for similar titles to my book, I would look at books in my genre. So yes, I read a lot of YA and a lot of fantasy, but I tried to specifically find other superhero rites of passage books that had had market success and that I liked enough that I could confidently list them as similar titles or comp titles. Let's use my query as an example. The Shadowcaster, 72,000 words, is a YA novel loosely inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale of the same name, about a fisherman's daughter and her sentient silhouette. Though united physically, they are often divided mentally and must work together to save their family by uncovering the existence of the Shadowcasters, a magical race who disappeared more than 1,000 years ago. The fans who have grown up reading The School for Good and Evil and have grown to love Children of Blood and Bone will be drawn to my story. Do you see how I have the title, word count, and genre of my book at the very start of this sentence? That's what you need to do as well. And real quick, let's get into the nitty-gritty on young adult and middle grade. There are different age groups for novels. There's adult, 21 plus, upper young adult, 17 to 21 years, lower young adult, 15 to 16 years, upper middle grade, 13 to 14 years, and lower middle grade, 11 to 12 years. Your book needs to be written so that it will be enjoyed by these people in these specific age groups, if it's YA or middle grade. Yes, it is true that adults of all ages enjoy middle grade and young adult. But if you claim your book is middle grade and then have it read like an adult fantasy novel or hard sci-fi, then an agent won't be able to market it and they're going to reject you. I had this exact issue for a while. I originally made my protagonist 14 years old because I remember that being a very formative age for me personally. I also happen to like stories where young characters have to grow up too fast and overcome great odds. So because of all that, I made my protagonist 14. and I pitched my book as an upper middle grade. But looking back on that decision, I realized my writing style for the book, the vocabulary, the themes, and the plot was more mature than what was appropriate for 14-year-olds. Maybe some mature 14-year-olds, but still. I got that feedback from writers groups and I didn't listen. But then I got the feedback from an agent rejection. So I finally got with the program and I changed the age of my protagonist from 14 to 17. Once I did, I started to receive more manuscript requests. And so I just wanted to tell you that cautionary tale. Phew, goodness, that's a lot of information. But you need all of this because, like I said, it all affects your paragraph too. Paragraphs 3 and 4 should give just a little bit more information about your setup, your character's goals, and any twists or hooks that you may have. I'm not going to give you my query as examples on these because they're major spoilers, but I do go into great detail on how to come up with your protagonist's goal, the themes of your story, midpoint, and more in lesson 1. I also teach you how to distill everything down into your elevator pitch in lesson 1, so if you haven't yet, that context will be very handy. So be sure to sign up for the full course for free at lexwritesanshadow.com. All right, then you have paragraph 5 and 6. Paragraph number 5. Emphasize why you wrote this book. The Shadowcaster has a unique, high-concept plot with a clear through line, an ensemble cast of flawed yet endearing characters, and it will be another milestone for women characters too often relegated to being princesses or members of an elite class. The Shadowcaster proclaims that no one should live in the shadow of another, that we all must step into the light together to shine brightest. Paragraph number 6. State what you will do to sell your book. And what's important to know is that while you may think the traditional route of publishing would involve a publisher promoting your book, as I state in lesson 1 of this course, no one is going to care about your project more than you. Sure, if you get a book deal, the publisher will try to promote your book for you, but you will still need to be the main champion of your work. You need to prove to an agent and then later on an editor and a publisher that you will be able to do the basic fundamentals of marketing yourself so that they take a chance on you. The basics of marketing your book include an author website, a mailing list, social media, media interviews, speaking and appearances, articles, blogging, and blurbs. Most of these are self-explanatory, with probably the exception of blurbs. Blurbs are basically those really short quotes that you see on the cover of a book that's like deep and profound wisdom, or romantic and heartbreaking, a tale for the ages. So you're promising them that you'll get some good testimonials of people for your book from notable people. Usually a quote like a blurb is from another author or a celebrity. Let's look at paragraph number 6 to give you the full picture. As a filmmaker, I've done a bunch of grassroots PR work, and I've worked with PR agencies. I'll promote the book series via an author website, social media, media interviews, speaking, and other appearances, articles, blogging, and blurbs, of which I already have commitments from an executive producer of the Buffy the Vampire Slayer series and writer of Netflix's Love, Death, and Robots. I will be able to champion my work with digital media like nobody's business. So in this line, I've expressed that I know how to work with PR agencies and do grassroots PR. I listed all the methods of self-promotion that I promised to do, and then I included commitments to blurb promises. And that's it. Of course, don't forget to sign your name, contact info, but all in all, there's your query letter. And if you want to work on your own more, I offer a template worksheet on how to craft an outstanding query letter in the written materials of this course. So if you haven't yet, you can sign up for free at lexwritesanshadow.com to receive those materials. Now, let's get into the long and short of the synopsis. When it comes to synopses, there are a few important distinctions that we need to make. There are marketing synopses, like what you'd find on the back of a book cover, and submission synopses, which are longer, more detailed synopses exclusively written for agents, editors, and publishers. It will be rare that an agent asks you for a marketing synopsis, but I still highly suggest you write one, which is about half a page single-spaced. You can write your marketing synopses as an exercise when you're writing your book. You can play with style, suspense, and figure out what fits into your market. An agent will, however, almost certainly always ask you for a submission synopsis. A submission synopsis is a concise summary of a book's plot, characters, and main themes. It gives the agent, editor, or publisher a clear idea of what the book is about, including the beginning, middle, and end, without them having to read your whole book. So basically, it's like a summary of spoilers. The agent will either ask you for a long synopsis or a short one. A long synopsis usually is around 4 pages double-spaced, and a short synopsis is one that is usually 1 to 2 pages double-spaced. Don't forget, even though it's a summary, your synopsis should still reflect your unique voice and style. Keep it professional, but let your storytelling shine through. In addition to telling everything that happens in your story and showing off your writing skills, you need a really strong opening line. Think of it like an elevator pitch, but only for your setting, not giving everything away up front. For example, the opening line to my synopsis, The Shadowcaster, is, reeling from the recent grief of her father losing his leg in a tragic accident at sea, Alma, 17, and her sentient silhouette, Shadow, who has supernatural powers like teleportation that Alma takes for granted, must take on the responsibility of catching fish to support their family. This sentence introduces my protagonist Alma, my deuteragonist Shadow, sets up the setting for being out at sea, and also introduces the conflicts of the recent loss of Alma's father's leg, her taking advantage of Shadow, and the burden of her new responsibilities. It introduces a lot and leaves the reader wanting to know more. When you break 4 pages down of a synopsis into paragraphs, for me it works out to be about 8 paragraphs total, so 2 per page. With that structure in mind, I want you to use everything you learned in Lesson 1 to walk the agent through your story's 3-act structure, the hero's journey, and the save the cat beats, hitting the midpoint of your book at the midpoint of your synopsis page count. Map the beats onto your paragraphs. I'd recommend that you write your long synopsis first. It's going to feel super hard at first. You're going to be like, there is no way I can explain everything important that happens in my book in 4 double-spaced pages, but you're going to have to do it. And then you're going to have to do a shorter version that's only 2 pages double-spaced. And some agents might even ask you for only 1 page double-space. But now you're ready. Author bios. There are also 2 different types of author bios that I've seen. There's the one that you would use to promote yourself publicly, so super short, around 150 words, like this one that I made for myself. Alexis Arajema is an author and social justice filmmaker, a 2-time Emmy Award winner and lead singer of the anime cover band Otaku Ongaku. She has spent over a decade working as a film producer, video editor, and writer for film, documentary, sports, news, you name it. Her husband jokes her headstone will read, "Here lies Lex. She made one of everything." Now, her debut novel, The Shadowcaster, proclaims that no one should live in the shadow of another, that we must share the light and inspire others to shine. So cute, right? Please note how I introduce myself first as an author, even though I haven't sold a book yet. It's important to identify yourself as an author if you are one. Even though I'm technically more of a professional filmmaker at this point, I still list author first, and you should too. Then I list my accomplishments, and then I try to do something a little interesting and memorable and personal here in the middle with the story from my husband. Remember, agents aren't just signing a book, they're signing a human being, an author, and a little personality in your bio shows them that you're somebody that they'll enjoy working with. Then I share a little bit about my debut novel and also my mission statement. I do want us all to shine. Writing in the Shadows is about taking your writing into the light. So again, that's a promotional author bio, but what about the kind of author bio you'll need to submit to agents? Well, you'll just want to add more detail and make it around 300 to 500 words. You can take your promotional author bio and beef it up. List more details surrounding your accomplishments and accolades. Also, agents like you to explain here the reason why you wrote your book, or the main passion behind your writing and the themes that you like to explore. If you do these things and keep the author bio between 300 and 500 words for submission, you should be golden. So now you have these 3 items: your query letter, your synopsis, and your author bio. Once you have your finished manuscript, you're ready to submit to agents. I provide some worksheets for you to be able to write your query, synopsis, and author bio in the written materials of my Writing in the Shadows course. If you haven't signed up for all those materials for free yet, you can access them at lexwritesinshadow.com. All right, that's it. We've gone into detail on how to craft a compelling query letter, the long and short of your synopses, how to charm with an author bio, and what's the best way to find similar titles. Congratulations! You've made it through lesson 3, and this marks the end of Writing in the Shadows. I hope what you've learned will empower you to tackle your writing journey with confidence. Writing a book is hard. Querying is even harder. The path of traditional publishing, putting your heart on the page and sending it out into the world one agent query at a time, requires a level of courage and crazy that most people will never understand. But by now, after lessons 1, 2, and 3 of Writing in the Shadows, I hope you feel like you no longer are stumbling around in the dark because you've learned how to write a strong, marketable book, find and pitch the right agents for you, and craft a compelling query package. Be sure to believe in yourself, even when the rejections come. And they will come. It's part of the process. But it'll make you tough, and it'll make your writing shine. And now, you're well equipped to keep going, to rewrite, to revise, improve, and persist. So thank you. Thank you for trusting me to be a part of your writing journey. Now go on out there and shine your light. I'm Lex, and this has been Writing in the Shadows. Write well, my friends.